Side. Oh,
away they go.
Perfectly.
They got away well. Green boat in the middle, that'll be a South African. Red boat above them is going to be French, I think.
Solid start from
Argentinians
Argentina.
close to us, 6-7-3, Vergoven and Catalano. They were the junior world champions last year. There's already contact in the backfield there. Balint from Hungary, good at this, good at the 5Ks. French just above them. So it's the French leading Urban and Candy. Coming onto their side, Balint and then the South Africans with McGregor on their left, I think.
I think it's Burkett. And
but to the left, the boat leading currently is last year's juniors. It's Vergoven and Catalano. And they are putting themselves solidly in the mix. Coming across to them is the black boat. It's going to make contact with blue there. It's hard to tell who's who. I think we got South Africa in the V.
Drone shot is great, but it makes identifying boats really difficult. That's a much better shot. We can get a clear idea.
There we go. Romalo and Pimenta in the yellow hats.
Super strong Argentinian start.
Two Argentinians. The Argentinians were both with a bizarrely fashioned block on the front of their boat. I mean, that's a bit weird, isn't it? I mean, you only need somebody to catch that with their paddle and it starts dangling in the water.
There's no wave
looks
today
like a world of trouble.
What on earth?
Burkett and Lovemore in the black boat for South Africa. Just moving out on the second. Argentinians, possibly a little aggressively, but job done. They held them off from the wash they were trying to get. Here we go, Palfler and Palfler. They'll rejoin the group later. Don't you worry about them. They will always be solid. Dowden and Howe from Great Britain up with the Swedes. Those Swedes will make a march back to the front. They've also opted for a wave break on their boat. The pink hats, Matsin hats from Great Britain on the left of the group. Group slowing down now. Pimenta, I'm sure, would like a slightly pedestrian pace. He will back his turn of speed any day of the week against anyone in this race. Romalo yesterday so strong to take that silver medal. Speeds dropped down from its initial 23 plus, and now it's all looking fairly sedentary. Two from Argentina, one from South Africa. Hungary, looks like Boros, 676. It's Boros and Erdeli. Boros, you don't often see at the sharp end this early in a race. French in the red boat coming through on the South Africans. McGregor there just being pushed back as the Argentinians go up. Denmark with Pedersen in the blue boat to their left.
And that's Lovemore and Burkett in the black boat.
Argentinians being squeezed into the back by the Portuguese. They're going to meet the French. French have dominance there, and Argentina go back 2 places into the second V. It's pretty tough in there in the senior race. Through goes Portugal again. French with room to choose which V they go for. They're still opting for Burkett and Lovemore as the potential leaders, and Argentina to the left behind the other crew.
Huge group that's formed on the downriver lap. Adrian Boros celebrating a birthday this week, so maybe he's still on an emotional high from...
a bit of spread in that group. Australians, 683. That's a little further back. That's Sedia and Han in 24th at the moment. I think all the big players are there. Maybe Lindbergh and Nathal are not in that group. No, they are. I can see them in the yellow shirts. So everyone who's anyone is in that group at the moment.
Big bunch heading down to the bottom turn can.
Palfler's top right. They're going to make contact soon.
Andy Burkett and Hamish Lovemore in the black boat at the front. Argentina, nice strong start.
But the second Argentinian crew seem to be struggling.
They're trailing off the back.
No, that is the youngsters. That is the youngsters. They've been pinballed back a little bit. not looking quite so rosy for them just at the moment. It is tough stepping up. The young Argentinian crew currently being beaten on the national level by the older guys. So we're looking at Rodriguez and Cáceres on the outside of this group. They're being held off by the French, which is going to be Carré. It's all to play for. Just on the back of the group there from Spain, just hanging in there is Fernandez and Fernandez. Is this the bottom turn already? Yes, it is. Oh, my word.
And it is a huge bunch that's going to try and squeeze around these 5 boys.
So in pole position, we've currently got Pimenta and Romalo, Burkitt and Lovemore to their right. On their left, Boros. He's going for the full draw stroke round the turn.
Contact on the red boat.
It's fallen well for the French in the red boat.
There's lots of dominoes.
Green boat of McGregor also round, very, very clean and very well organised for McGregor. You wouldn't expect less. And there's their own waves coming back to meet them. Maybe this is when you need the wave deflector. A lot of different routes around that turn, but everyone round reasonably well.
Everybody's scooting over to the extreme right-hand side of the river where the still water is. Definitely the quicker water on the way up.
So there's going to be a lot of sorting out. It's going to be quite a narrow group coming back down. There's the Portuguese leading, as they have been quite a lot of the way. I'm just struggling with my track here.
Hungary, South Africa, France, South Africa, Denmark.
Blue boat is Pedersen. The green boat is McGregor. Blue boat with the yellow shirts. They're the Swedes, with Lindberg and Nathal. South Africa looking 2 boats very well placed. French boat in the red, Urban and Candy. Argentinians is Rodriguez.
Well, as a first look at that boat of Mads Pedersen and Soren Moretti, it seems to be purring along.
Argentinians making their way all the way to the front. To the left of the French. French have already seen it. They're heading up.
Yeah.
Boros is taking a gamble on getting up the inside of the Portuguese, and Lovemore straight into the V, and McGregor straight into the V behind the French. That fell beautifully for the South Africans. Pedersen pushing up with Moretti. Lovemore follows the new leader, which is Boros. It's all going to be close quarters. These guys are so experienced. You very rarely get incidents at this level, and if they do happen, they turn out to be quite big. We're going okay so far. I'm struggling with my internet, guys. I'm really sorry. So I can't give you back date people who further back down the course at the moment.
So predictions for the race already coming in on the stream. Feel free to nail your colours to the mast right now. We'll be fun to scroll back in 2 hours' time and see how you did. Thanks, Ross.
I'm really impressed with Boros so far. We haven't seen him up the front end early doors in a race for a long time. He normally crawls back a little bit later from behind, but this time he's been there right from the word go, and we haven't seen him this good for a while.
So Hungary at the front in the form of Tamas Erdely and Adrian Boros. Fernando Pimenta, Jose Ramalho.
Mats in hats just staying with the Pauflers at the back of that shot there, still well in contention.
The Hungarians leading him on the upriver leg.
Argentina on the outside, then France, then Portugal. Hungary lead, from Portugal, from France, from Argentina. 2 South Africans tucked super neatly in the back of this group.
Remember, this is lap 1. It's a complete lap with no portages, so they'll go straight past the portage takeout. But for the first time in front of the grandstand, packed with paddling fans here in Metkovic.
So South Africa, then Denmark, you got Spain.
Argentina.
Sweden just on the back of that group still.
France coming up.
So fairly organised. There's the second French crew of Carré, and it kicks off at the front. It's Urban and Candy in the red boat trying to assert themselves, but it's super hard to come round someone like Pimenta. It doesn't happen easy. Romalo and Pimenta just doing enough to stop them coming round. That's all they want. They still want the Hungarians to lead. They don't want to take the lead themselves, but they also don't want to be pushed back down through the group at this stage while the group is so big. So a little flurry from the French, a failed attempt to get past the Portuguese, and the Hungarians still happy to do the pull-in for now at least. They are looking very, very good, those Hungarians.
Romalo spotted that straight away, the move from the French, and just slammed the door on them.
That's like the Boros and Salty going right back to Dior all those years ago when they overhauled McGregor and Mocha down that finishing straight. And it looks like Boros has found himself in a K2 that has the potential to do damage yet again. Swedes, Germans, Great Britain, second French crew with Carré.
And in front of the stands here in Metkovic, giving you a great profile look at the portages, which are going to be instrumental in shaking up the bunches here.
As is this first turn.
Roger that. And a split already. Argentina cutting
come
the corner.
over, and that means they come into the turn at a different angle to the leaders.
The French are going
and
with the
that's where
Argentinians.
accidents happen. You see the Portuguese, you can see the angle between the two. The Argentinians and Portuguese coming at very different angles, and we're going to have contact.
Boy 1 and boy 2 are not a problem, but watch the apex, boy.
There we go, they survived boy 1. They hit boy 2. It's going to be tight. It's going to be super tight. They're going to have to come out.
The French get a nudge on over
They
the
nearly
French
went
tail.
in. They nearly went in. I think everyone got round, but those Argentinians, such a high risk. To come in at an angle that no one else is coming in, you can't change.
It's like watching a stampede of the bulls, man. Everybody walks away unscathed, fortunately, but hopefully lessons learnt. Or not. They got away with it. Romalo and Pimenta still sitting at the front. The Hungarians casual on the outside. Happy to let McGregor and Hart move up.
And the South Africans that haven't put a foot wrong all the way. Argentina squeeze the red boat into the V. Red boat of the French, Candy and Urban. McGregor now is left with a choice of coming round or toughing it out on the second wave.
It's a messy group as 4 boats find themselves at the front. Creates 3 diamonds for the followers behind, who are simply watching this strange display in front of them as everybody flexes muscles.
Moretti, Pedersen on the outside want to have a bit of a breather. They've been on the outside for far too long. Boros gets bullied by Lovemore. Through come the Powerflers as well. So, don't know, would you want Pedersen out the front of any group? I'd want to contain him a little more than that, I think. Argentinians move out on McGregor. Through come Lovemore and Burkitt into the V, just pushing the French back one notch. It's just going round and round and round. Argentina lead.
Augustine Rodriguez and Juan Caceros. Not for long. Through come the Portuguese. Well, that was just a show of force. France trying their luck.
That's France and Denmark having a coming together. Now French K2 paddle together often. The Danish do not. That was only ever going to be one winner. You need coordination and your partner needs to know exactly what you're doing. Great Britain's crew in the blue boat just catching up on the outside. There's Argentina, South Africa, Portugal. Red boat of the French, Urban and Candy.
What does the greatest spreadsheet of all time say about the...
The greatest spreadsheet of all time is wishing I could open it at the moment.
Oh, is it...
Yeah, we're
face down on the water?
having a malfunction.
Okay. Just puzzling about the career of Urban and Candy.
Well,
they've been significant players. They've had a great season as well.
I mean, when they first came in, the French hadn't been in marathon racing or up the top end of marathon racing for a while. Then they came in and they've got a lot of speed, they've got a lot of quality, and they had such low race intelligence in those early days that they were actually a problem to everyone. I remember in Brandenburg, they were just all over the shop coming into the portages. You know, the instructions to your own crews was just to stay away from the French. And since then, they've just got better and better and better. And now, you know, they're medalists. You know, they've been right up there. And so that group gradually thinning out. Still Great Britain out to the left, trying to get back in contact.
Andy Burkitt and Hamish Lovemore pushing their way up onto...
Powerflers with Great Britain there. So Powerflers are a reliable, very steady crew.
So 9 boats, 9 K2s, tightly together on lap 2. 9 boats coming into the first portage will be sporty, to say the least.
People who are going to manage this well, probably no one better than McGregor, who's been in big groups like this for as long as most people watching can remember.
Probably the most streetwise paddler in the picture right now. Interesting, Hank McGregor and Uli Hart have just come off winning a 2-day river marathon and racing really hard. So they've just pushed through an 80 kilometer 2-day marathon down in the Western Cape and then hopped on the plane just in time to get here. You can debate peaking before a big event.
I think that's an open-ended thing. On the far side, Lindbergh and Nathal showing a bit of power. And we are back in the game. So we've got Pimenta, Romalo, Boros, Erdeli, Burkitt, Lovemore, Rodriguez, Caceres, Lindbergh and Nathal, Pedersen, Moretti, Hart, McGregor, Urban, Candy, Lawrence, Plaza. Then Powerfler, Johnson and Collins are out just to the left.
Off the back for now. Bottom turn.
On the bottom turn.
9 K2s coming in hot. Pimenta, Romalo, all good. Lovemore making contact with
Look at that second
boat.
Spanish crew right at the back. They're going to come round. They're going to jump up at least 4 places here. There's pressure with those Spaniards on the left-hand side. Through come Argentina. Argentina are not a crew to be bullied, that is for sure.
Drone picture giving you a shot of the bottom turn can. Also get a visual perspective of where the flow is on the Neretva and why the boats are all hugging the right hand bank.
From the moment they go around that turn, the minds turn to the portage. The whole journey up here, the portage is the priority, and you're working out where you are in the group, where other people are in the group. Who you can trust is a big one. Who you can't trust is an even bigger one. You don't need to be near anyone who's chaotic. You don't need to be near anyone you don't know. We haven't got many people in here too chaotic, I would think.
No.
Potentially the Argentinians are the least known. This is further back down the field. You've got the Italians, Great Britain with Howe and Dowden. Got the Poles back there as well.
Rizolski and Siwiet.
That's Dekker and Telind of the Netherlands, also in that group.
But we're back with the front 9 boats. Mads Pedersen and Soren Moretti right at the back in that navy blue K2.
Moretti doesn't mind being in the thick of a group. That's his race style. He's always, he understands how the groups work. He's not a front runner typically. So he'll be reasonably happy there. You do worry, because if a gap opens in front of you and you're at the back, there's nothing you can do about that. You have to wait, and that's a long wait when that happens. So big players all at the front. South Africa and Spain just coming through at the bottom of your shot there. Then the bow of the Argentinians.
I've got to say the most measured and ominous boat in that picture there for me is the Hungarian crew of Boris and Early. They are looking very comfortable and very purposeful,
Yes.
determined.
Yeah. And Mats in hats have made their way back to the front group, and that is great news for Great Britain. Along with the Palflers, with a matching hat and boat combo, we've got to give them prize for that.
We now have
surely.
11 K2s coming into the first portage. Here we go.
So
This could be a demolition derby.
Romalo and Pimenta don't mind going slow, especially Pimenta doesn't mind going slow. He will back himself on a race into the portage. He'll back himself on a race round a turn for short periods. There isn't anyone in this field who can match Pimenta for acceleration or high top end speed. As long as he's in the clear in that front few, I think Pimenta will be and remain a very happy man. Little overlap and contact in the South African boats there. I don't understand why there's that overlap. You're not going to be going anywhere. You just run the risk of running into your mate's paddle.
I think Hank was just trying to avoid doing some gardening on that tight corner with the tree sticking out.
A good degree of control between these two. At some point, someone has to push just a little. And it's usually someone with something to lose.
Portugal-Hungary doing a great job of controlling this 11 K2 bunch as they come upstream. Probably 30 seconds away now from the first portage. Pimenta, Romalo, Boros, Erli. The French just to their left. Hamish Lovemore, Andy Burkett. Just behind them, Hank McGregor, Uli Hart. No urgency, no move, no muscle flexing from anybody at this stage, and they are literally a small turn around these grass reeds from the first portage.
Romalo, Pimenta looking very, very controlled. Urban Candy, well, those front three boats look very untroubled in this. Portage is close now. Pimenta, Romalo, that confident that they haven't even brought up the average speed. Whoa, okay. The Fernandez.
Spain
Here
moves
we
one.
go.
There we go.
Spain down one boat. Fernandez's are out. So this isn't to drop anyone, it's just to create enough space so that the entry to the portage is a little bit easier for them, and that's exactly what Romalo and Pimenta have done. See how they've got time before anyone else is even in. There you go, that's what that little spurt was about. They haven't got intention of breaking away just yet. They
Super
just
run
wanted
from
it clean.
Lovemore and Burkett.
McGregor also in the green boat. Swedes being overrun by the South Africans there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Portugal running
boats.
brilliantly at the front.
Great Britain overtaking a few crews, and they've got a left-hand put in, which is going to suit, because there's only 2 boats on that left-hand put in, and this is going to suit Great Britain super well, running right to the end. They'll be in and away, and they should be in contact with that group.
5 away clear.
Away go. The Hungarians, I think. It's the Hungarians from Portugal, from the French,
South Africa there as well.
Then Great Britain. So this could be a breakaway group. Hungary, France in red, South Africa in black, Portugal in white, South Africa in green.
That's it.
There's your angles on the turn. It's going to be tough.
Oh,
over the top.
over the tail again. Oh, we have a swimmer.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's the GB boat.
You can see on that top turn, the angles you come into that third buoy are so crucial. And it was the French there who were at the wrong angle at the wrong time. The bow of their boat went straight over the back of the Hungarians. They managed to keep it upright, which is key, obviously. And they're all safe and all together. But a lesson learned there. McGregor suffering a little bit at the back there, and when he gets back, if he gets back, there's not going to be much of a wave for him. Red boat of France really needs to move up now. Or is it South Africa's going to go?
There they go. It's Lovemore and Burkett who've decided to start pushing out on their own on the right.
Romalo should
France see it and
go to the
shadow
left,
it.
but he's instead ducking over and coming into the V. It's a nice move from Romalo. Only he hasn't made it stick yet. He's not got into the V yet. Here we go. See how he comes into the V from the edge, not from the middle. That's great practice there. Over the wave. He's just turned to Pimenta and said, that's enough. And they're away. And the sufferer out of that is McGregor. And if this speed continues, McGregor's on his own for a bit.
Hank has got a real machine in the boat with him in Uli Hart. So
away go the French. Romalo up the right. Lovemore settles into the V, and he'll be happy with that. The speed is high.
Lovemore Burkett settle into the diamond.
Lovemore taking the opportunity to have a drink, and the gap has opened up in front of McGregor, and it looks like for now he's lost touch with this lead group. Lead group away and motivated. Again, the lead change. The Hungarians go with intent. French
South Africa
drop back
going around
into
the
V.
outside. French.
It's just a routine operation now for them. If they want to do it and they want to break away, which they seem to want to do, we'll have a lead for around a minute, and then someone else will go. It's the Portuguese turn next.
It was a bargain for the French. There was less than a minute. I think they were quite happy to.
As soon as the top speed drops down, they'll know, and they'll call the next person through. It won't be measured in time, it'll be measured in speed. Everyone knows what speed they need to be traveling. It's got to be higher than most people can deal with. Boats missing. McGregor, Pedersen, the Argentinians, We're missing the Swedes and the Spaniards. Lawrence and Plaza should be up there. And that's about it for big names.
Let's keep an eye
There
on
go the South Africans, more motivated than the Portuguese, it seems, to make this break stick. Hungarians automatically drop back. You notice the Portuguese who haven't taken their turn also won't force their way into the V and take the piss in that respect. Is that, am I allowed to say that on air?
You just
Who
have,
knows?
so it doesn't matter.
Moving on.
Works for me.
So they'll, every time the group changes, if the Portuguese aren't going to do it or come from the left side, they will go up with the leaders and slot onto their left side. They won't go into the back because the person who's been leading has earned that. And it's Burkitt and Lovemore currently who are piling on.
A couple of weeks ago, that boat you see at the front there was racing in Paris at the Olympic Games. Hamish Lovemore winning that B final. As complete rookie sprinters, it must be said. They won't mind me saying that.
There you go, French up again. Again, the Portuguese don't take their turn, but again, they'll allow the South Africans back into the V. Romalo seemingly very conscious of conserving Pimenta. Also, you got to remember that Romalo had some day yesterday in those last 2 laps. That massive catch up. I can't.
Mika says you've just demonetized this video by dropping the P-bomb. we crack on. We crack on regardless.
We try hard. Okay,
but
so
there's a big
France.
Gap. McGregor, Hart and the Chasers are a long, long way back now.
So in this race, we've got Burkitt, who raced yesterday. We've got Romalo, who raced yesterday, and no one else. And that earns them some favours. But Burkitt, he is not ducking out of his share like the Portuguese are currently. Portuguese very conservative in what they're prepared to do.
This is Burkitt who sank, remember, and who finished his race, but he raced light.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dog-eat-dog affair that he was involved in.
Romalo had the toughest day yesterday with those last 2 laps of chase.
I agree, Ivan.
Well, this is a very simple process for these guys. There's the chase group. And that's got Rodriguez and Caceres, Urban, no, not Urban and Kennedy, they're in the front group. Pedersen, Moretti, Lawrence and Plaza, Hart and McGregor, and Lindberg and Nathel.
Interesting to see Soren Moretti driving that boat with Mats Pedersen sitting in the back.
I've just been told that at the top turn by the bridge there are a couple of boys missing, or one boy missing, and that it's exploded. Whether that was from heat, which is the suggestion, or whether it's from an impact, I don't know. But we are missing a boy at the top turn apparently. Only Dave has a window for a visual check.
Yeah, I've got the Portaloo of the view. Roger that. There are now 4 boys there.
Okay.
It's boy number 4 that's gone.
Okay, that's not very important.
The apex boy is still there.
Nobody's gone near boy 4 on the whole weekend.
It's the irrelevant boy.
Yeah. Chase group, not far behind. There go the South Africans again. Portugal now on the upstream leg will find themselves in the V and then pushed across, because it's going to be 2 and 2. It's the most efficient way of getting this group upstream. Looks like Portugal might try and go round the French, or the French leading. It's hard to... No, Portugal want to go round the French and get onto the lead wave. There's not a lot the French can do about that. Portuguese have rested for a whole length. Hungarians going up the inside, probably not to try and stay there, but just to get in front of the French and drop back, which is what we're seeing now. All standard stuff, all above board. France moving out, and I think if they think they're going to take on the Portuguese, They are going to take on, well, they're going to take on everyone. They've decided that leading is the way forward. Portugal will go to their left. Hungary will come to their right and then squeeze back onto the South Africans as the group forms. Certainly that flurry would have gained them some distance on Group 2. Distance currently stated at about 70 metres.
Tom Latson raising the question, what is that big block of foam on the front of the two Argentinian boats? And he's got an answer here. Apparently it's an alternate form of wave breaker. It's a block of foam.
Yeah, it just keeps the front more buoyant. It doesn't allow the front.
By putting it that far forward, I guess it pulls the nose up and out of.
Yeah.
Wave, not an issue, it must be said at this stage. We haven't seen anything.
I really don't understand why anyone's got a wave breaker. I guess, though, yeah, around this time yesterday, it was when the wind picked up, and you're out there for 2 hours. You don't know what's going to happen in 2 hours' time.
And it is, this famous wind is an afternoon wind that blows up the valley.
So the gap still remaining constant. Argentinians are a strong chaser for sure. You got Pedersen in that group too. And that's Laurens and Plaza. It's a massive quality group, that second group. So these guys, they're going to have to keep the pedal to the floor for another lap if they want to make this break stick.
So the red boat of the Frenchman in the front. Portugal alongside them. The Hungarians and the South Africans content to sit at the back of this bunch as they work their way upriver.
Portugal doing pretty much what they want. The French were forced to the front. Everyone looking strong in that group though.
Portuguese race plan certainly early on relies on riding as much wave as possible and conserving. They're taking it pretty easy. They're keeping...
If you've got something with a degree of certainty as having Pimenta in the back for the tense periods, the finish line coming into a portage, your only job in the front is to conserve him. I used to have a 10k partner like that, Grayson Bourne, who now does Kayak Pro. They're so good that you can spend them where you want to spend them. So you get the choice where you spend them in the front. So Romalo gets to choose when Pimenta's used and when he isn't, but he wants to use him as infrequently as possible because you need him to be as good as possible.
And you want him to be fresh for when it really gets serious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess if you have a crew that is so established and so familiar with each other, it becomes almost instinctive about what your role is and when you need to step up to the plate.
So coming up to portage number 2 on lap number 3.
No urgency in this bunch, so it should stick together. Christian, I go with you 100%. This is the way it should be all the way into the portage. Philip Knudsen offering us a comment here, but I don't know what he's saying. I'm going to have to pop that into translate. Mangetak Grau. I'll work on that.
Ronnie Larson's out there in TV land. He can offer us a translation of Philip's post, I'm sure. Matt's in hats with the Powerflers. It's just back in that third group there now. Second group definitely closing down. It's only about 50 meters. It doesn't look that far on camera. And we're going to have a busy catch up on the next lap, I think. Romalo, Pimenta,
France.
Pimenta braking a little bit too hard, just takes the front of the boat away from Romalo a little bit. Romalo probably tell him that on the next one. But France and Portugal, both on opposite sides of the get-in, are well ahead and looking comfortable. Argentina running through well. Through come the Danes with Moretti and Pedersen.
That chase group is really not far behind.
Hungary running down at speed. South Africans going to overrun them. That's not
No
the way,
place for South Africa to put in.
Oi.
Candia Urban away at the front. Portugal shadowing them, Hungary right behind them. South Africa with work to do now.
You feel like they should have put in earlier rather than running to the end of the pontoon.
They ran themselves into a dead end. They had to sit and wait for traffic to clear before they could put in.
There they are.
They're coming smoking in at the diagonal.
Which is safe, seeing as they're just off the back of the group. Had they been close,
this looks like
this is the one.
It's a three-boy turn now by the looks of it.
So South Africans just lose a little bit of ground from this point because they see how they're at that different angle. So all the time they're going around, the others going down. They'll just lose a few lengths. And there's the Argentinians putting up a solid effort at closing that group down. And I think they're going to do it.
Go to the front.
French looking, well, French. 3 boats, and it's tough for the South Africans at this stage.
Yep.
After having not done much on the last lap, the Portuguese are happy to do work when there's a direct result of damage being done. You know, Lovemore,
they're turning up the heat on the South Africans.
Favourites, and they can do damage to a favourite. You're going to do it. If you can't, then they won't do it. All the way down, they're very conservative. With the money they saved on the way down, they're spending it now because there's a direct result of spending now.
Hurt cause, they're pulling the Hungarians to the front, and that was an instruction from Romalo.
Marlowe letting the French come up because he needs them later, and he'll go around the right-hand side. All 3 of these need each other for at least a lap.
By the way, Rene Larsen has translated Philip Knutsen's comment.
Good man.
Apparently he's saying, it's not fun watching this racing at home in a hotel.
Oh, okay.
I think he'd rather be here. So, Hungary at the front, Portugal, France. The boat in trouble right now is the South African boat of Andy Burkett and Hamish Lovemore.
They're falling back fairly rapidly, and they're getting closer to the chase group than they are to the front group.
This is a pretty solid pace being laid down by the Hungarians.
Through come the French.
Rotate.
Portugal round the Hungarians. Hungarians will come up the left. They'll miss that back of that French boat by a millimetre. There you go, and off they come. So they come out away from the French boat and then run back in down towards it, climbing over the diagonal waves and then running back down it like a surfer would go across a wave. Takes you forward and forward fast. 3 boats away.
So let's see if we can get a perspective back to the Black K2 of Burkett and Lovemore, who are clearly in the pain cave at the moment.
The gap is 80 metres between 82 metres, 83 metres. They're only a few metres ahead of Hart and McGregor. So they're going to be all back together in Group 2. Again, the group changes, and again, it's the Portuguese who bring the average speed up just a little notch. And you have to feel like the motivation is in this group to stay ahead now.
Well, there's every incentive, 1, to reduce it to 3, and 2, to negate the threat of Burkett and Lovemore.
That's what this move was about. They saw that Burkett and Lovemore were suffering. It was worth spending some cash to make that stick.
What remains to be seen if there's going to be a meaningful chase mounted by the hunting pack, particularly if Burke and Lovemore can find an ally in their teammates in Hart and McGregor.
Super impressed by Boris in this. Yeah, there are people who'd written him off. You know, he was, you know, we haven't seen him at his best for a little while, and now here we go again. It's the Boris of old, putting in his solid shifts on all these leads. Never been outside the front three. And there's the gap.
And there's the gap.
Problem that chase group have got is it's quite a big group. I think it's just, is it just 5? Five's not too bad.
It looks 5.
5's manageable. So they can do it if they organise well, but it is a big gap. 100 meters roughly back to that second group,
which is a potent chasing bunch, and the Danish boat is in there as well.
Yep.
If they wanted to, there's firepower in that bunch to certainly close gaps.
Hungarians softened it, French come through. You can see by how far back the two crews are wash hanging how fast they're travelling at the moment.
How did we get by without the drone shots? Good Lord. And how does Jeremy Candy manage to bring his own cap when there's such funky team gear that's been issued to them? Sure, he's going to have to face the fines committee tonight for not wearing the funky, and I'm sure it's a high fashion approved cap.
There we go. Look at Boris, nicely planned. He's got a cut in, one more cut in, and he'll come up to the side of the Portuguese with no stress. He would have been on the outside of that group, but he braked, turned early, and came in, and that's proper racing. I don't know if anyone out there remembers back in Győr all those years ago when they came into the bottom turn at a completely different angle to everyone else and absolutely blitzed it. He's a big thinker, is Adrian Boris. He understands what's going to happen next, and it's understanding what's going to happen next that is crucial, not what's happening now. It's thinking ahead.
Boris and Erdely turned their K2 so sharply on that first lap as well, and they showed again there that it's a factor on the turns. Technically, what makes a boat turn better than another?
It's to do with the angles you prepare at. So he starts turning earlier than anyone else. You saw him braking because he wanted to get round the back of the boats. So while he's braking, he's turning. He just starts, it's preempting everything. Reacting to something takes time. If you preempt, your boat's already got the momentum in the direction it wants to go. You've
got a degree of help from your rudder, obviously, but they almost seem to be comfortable leaning the boat in the turn as well, which helped as they cut that corner.
Yeah, you can lean the boat. It's not so easy in a K2, but it's doable. Two South Africans leading out this group, Burkitt, Lovemore in the black boat, and McGregor and Hart in the green boat.
Denmark with them, Argentina with them. As we hinted at earlier,
that gap is opening up.
There's gorilla in that bunch if they want to start playing this like a gorilla. Let's see if they can find a collective intent to try and catch these front three.
I don't think it's in there. These front three, they've got to do a lap and a half maybe at this sort of speed.
Yeah.
And then just every time the speed drops, the next boat's going. Portuguese up the side, Hungarians will drop onto the tail, because dropping onto the tail, the French speed goes up just a tiny bit by being closer to the edge, and Boris will sacrifice his own right-hand side wash to sit on the tail to get the group moving faster. It's all about the group at this stage. This isn't one-on-one. It's not France versus Portugal. This is about this group versus the next group.
Boros, the general in that white Hungarian boat, just seems to be oozing confidence today.
He does.
In a good space, and it's showing.
Very sharp. Again, the speed drops from the French and the Portuguese take it over. Hungary, see, they even took their bow over the back of the Portuguese boat. That is absolutely brilliant from Boros.
Clinical.
Every few centimeters you drop back past the back of the boat on those changeovers is so expensive. And he didn't even drop back far enough to go around the back. He jumped the bow of his boat over the tail.
Here's the chase bunch of 5 with Lovemore and Burkett, with their compatriots alongside them. Argentina with them. Argentina pushing forward.
They're going to be held off by McGregor. Leaders untroubled.
Hungary go back to the front. Urban and Candy and the French red boat pull up on their left, and Portugal have made a priority of finding time to rest, as much as they have driven the pace and been urgent.
They just want to open the gap. They're doing their bit. They didn't do their bit on the previous lap. We talked about that. He was preserving on that. Now they know that damage is... Yeah, as long as there's a reward for your cost, then that's fine. You see, all intelligent racers do that. They will only do something if there's a direct reward. These guys are all on that. Yeah, you got... Boros is on fire today, and he's a thinking man. So it's just, this is a great group. There's absolutely no competition in this group at all. They're not thinking about each other in there at all. Boros very happy to drop back to the tail of the French, and that group will just recirculate. You can see how close to the portage we are, and how willing Boros is to drop back. They're not thinking this, I need to race him. They are solely focused on making progress at the moment.
Some chatter between Boros and Romano as the rotate happened on that bunch.
Through go the Portuguese again. There's definitely.
So here's the portage. France right.
Going
Portugal,
left,
Hungary
right.
left.
Portugal will come in slightly later to allow the Hungarian.
Goodbye, France.
Everyone tidy. French are coming into the drinks lane by the look of it. You saw Pimenta just weighing his drink in his hand to see how much he had left. They're not going to go through. Communicating with Rui Cancio for what's going to happen on the next lap.
So here are the chase bunches. McGregor and Hart leading them in. They look like they're going to be going right.
Very different body language in this group. These guys are racing each other in Group 2.
Solid takeoff once again by France. They've been very good at the portage put in. No damage done to this front 3. But mental no, and the French put their paddles down because they're quite happy to wait for the outside wave. Now here comes the chase bunch. McGregor Hart.
Okay, there'll be a lot of conversation in that front group about leaving us room round the turn, I'm sure.
So South Africa first down, they earn the right to put in on the right. They suits them. Argentina are on the outside.
See how the Argentinians put their bow outside the South Africans, so nobody impinges on anyone else's journey. Nice steady trip round that. This is a group that has just one thing on their mind, is opening up a gap that can't be closed.
Yeah, and I suggest for the next 2 laps it's going to be like that. They've got everything to gain by being allies, partners, brothers in arms.
This one lap should do it, I think.
They'll set aside the scrap for the medals.
Germans, Great Britain, Hungary.
Denmark in there as well. Vedel
Yeah,
and
we've got the
Hinge.
French there.
That's the Danes coming in for a reload of fluids.
That's Vedel and Hinge.
Danke Tobias for the comment, we appreciate that. This grind at the front.
Argentina leading the chase, and it's just those two boats now, Hart, McGregor, Rodriguez and Caceres. Little rearrangement of drinks for the Hungarians.
They'll burn their way back on in no time.
They will, but those burns are always horrible. You know you did it to yourself, and it's a little bit of effort that you wish you didn't have to spend. Through go the Hungarians again. French just rearranging their headwear. Interesting that the France have gone forward and backward, but forward in the front and backward in the back. But the Portuguese have gone backward in the front and forward in the back with the caps. The headgear choices are endless. Hungarians gone naked, obviously, headgear-wise.
Surely there must be science. Surely we can put these guys into a wind tunnel behind a jet engine and test what happens whether you have no cap.
I think they'd all lose their hats, Dave.
Maybe that's why some prematurely bald. They've been in the jet tunnel for too long. So.
Prematurely bald?
Oh, we've seen a couple of shiny spots on the top from our drone.
It's just reflection of the water on the hair.
I still think it's a big step for a kayak paddler to delve into sea territory and put your cap backwards. It's just...
Through go the Portuguese. Hungarian's a little bit messy with his drink in the back there. It's putting his paddles down quite a lot. It's quite expensive to get the boat speed back up and running. Now Deli in the back is faffing about with his drink too much. If I was Boros, I'd be a little bit miffed with that at the moment.
Yeah, that's just a distraction you don't need at this stage.
It's when you do a big pull and you realise your partner isn't actually there with you yet. And those big pulls on your own are quite hectic.
Fernando Pimenta, Jose Ramalho at the front. The French crew of Quentin Oban, Jeremy Candy in the red K2 on the outside in the white boat with the Hungarian country stickers on it. Looking very ominous today, it must be said. Thomas Erdly in the back seat and Adrian Boros up front.
See how the leads are getting slightly shorter now. A little bit of fatigue kicks in, so they can only keep the boat speed up to the speed they want for shorter periods of time.
I guess the only thing that matters here is the net speed of the screw.
Yeah.
The rotation is happening frequently. There's never been an issue on the rotation.
No.
The net speed of this bunch has been relentless, and it's been ominous. And for those sitting behind, if you've been keeping an eye on track, I'm sure you'll see that gap is just gradually being wedged further and further.
Pedersen and Moretti have joined the Argentinians and South Africans in that group behind now. In fact, they're leading it. So there's only 3 boats in the chase group, 3 boats in the lead group. And I don't think the chase group has enough firepower. 150 meters the difference.
It's going to need something superhuman from a couple of the boats in the chase pack to make a meaningful dent into this.
The only thing that happens is at some point these guys stop competing as a group and start competing as individuals, and then the averages will drop down. And we might be seeing the start of that here, where there's a little bit more reluctance to burst to the front. The Hungarians have done it this time.
And
the first time someone puts in an underpowered shift is when everybody says, okay, if you're not doing it, I'm not doing it.
An underpowered or too short a shift?
Too short, I don't think people mind, because the target, like you said, is net speed, and if they can only do that speed for that long, you log it that they're getting tired, you appreciate what they have done, and you take it on.
And bank that, bearing in mind that
Yeah.
you're ultimately racing for medals here at
Yeah.
the end of it all. Warning, duck. Sorry.
So 3 boats away. Race yet to begin between these 3.
And we're on lap 5 here. I fully expect this to continue for at least a lap. Where's the urgency in the chase bunch? Who's going to drive this to a possible reconnect pace? I don't see it.
We saw Hank race yesterday, and although he did a great job, he wasn't up with the big guns at the front, and that's not going to change in a day. So yeah, it's going to be a tough day for them. You think the only one with the firepower to catch up is Pedersen?
Pedersen with...
But he looks so restricted in the back of the boat. He doesn't look like he can really do his thing.
You've got a fresh Lovemore in the boat with Andy
here. He might come again over the left-hand side of the French. No, he's not going to. He's just going to tap in. He loitered right at the back there to see who was going to go. If the French had gone, he would have come left. Saw the Portuguese were going, and from where he was, the easiest trip was behind the Portuguese. So as they go upstream, the others come downstream towards the turn. Through go France. Portugal will go onto their tail. And you just get the feeling that that massive effort might be over. And now they're starting to look more inward and see what they're prepared to do, not what they need to do.
What does Track have the gap at now?
117 meters, but there's the turn in there as well.
I think it's nearer 150 to be honest.
I think it's been 150 for a while now.
Some of the burn has gone off the pace at the top there, and it's
now we're just going along. We're not increasing the gap. We'll just be maintaining it.
The fact is the gap is there.
160 meters.
There we go.
On the current position. I think my track might have stopped again.
Internet's not showing you much love today.
No, I'm struggling with the internet.
K2s with watertight bulkheads, is that a thing?
Yep, they've been around for a while. We had those back in the day. I don't know if any of these have got that.
Another portage for the next battle. This would be the Japanese practice.
Pimenta Romalo coming around the French. This is the Polish crew of Rozalski and Suich. Racing alongside the Italians Matteo Vitor and Luca Ferligio. Ferligio, I beg his pardon.
No cyclists.
Unusually.
You think there'd be a bit more interest from the coaches in this one?
Maybe that's an
Hungarians
indication of just how
pressing on.
fast this group is going. I mean, they've dropped their second in cruise.
The Hungarians look to still be pressing on, actually.
From a body language point of view, Boros looks completely up for the fight today.
He does.
He's bossing this.
Yeah.
Got one e-scooter on seconding duty. It's a sport in itself because you're allowed to keep an eye on the boats on the water, but at the same time you've got to slalom around dustbins and pedestrians and caterers and
So coming up, fourth portage, 5th lap.
Luc Leroux, track, T-R-A-C. Just Google it, you'll find it quickly. Question from Colin. Would the paddlers change their lengths from their K1 race paddles to their K2? And we talked about it earlier. There's no need if it's working for you.
Generally not, I think. You might change it slightly, not because it's a K2, but because it suits your partner better.
Once again, we have approximately 12 kilometers to the finish line.
Wherever you go in the world, you'll find an overzealous French supporter. Doesn't matter what the sport is. Love them to pieces. Très bien.
He's straight from the Tour de France. He was running up hills in the Tour de France last week. Now he's running along riverbanks in Croatia.
It still eludes me that the Tour de France hasn't had massive accidents from fans shoving themselves into the cycle lane.
Oh, they have.
Just beats me how it's not a thing. So 3 ominously settled, ominously well-conditioned. In a lap or two's time, these 3 will be together, and we're going to have to start ching chong chang who you think is going to be on which step of the podium.
I'm more obsessed with my lack of internet connection at the moment, Dave. It's vexing me.
You're getting the spinning wheel, the spinning wheel of death.
Here we go, into the portage. Portage number 4. I don't think we'll see any attempt of a break here. Boris just dropping around the back and going to the left. Just to keep out of trouble, not at this end of the portage, but at the other end of the portage. So he's planning the re-entry rather than the exit here. Portugal through the drinks lane. We saw them planning that at the last one. Rui Cancio.
Nicely done. Double juice changes.
Has to be done within certain. You see the line on the floor. Before that line, there's penalties to pay if they step outside the line.
Don't say the P word. We've blissfully not had any in this event, so don't jinx it.
I think Rui's too experienced to step outside the line there. All 3 away together.
One of the boats has stopped on the water ahead of them. Trying to...
I think somebody told them to stop.
They're not moving, so it's...
They'll get moving again now. I think
an
they're
interesting but
boat.
relatively insignificant conundrum. Argentina running well. Pedersen Moretti.
Pedersen, sort yourself out, man. Pedersen thinks he's doing it by himself there. There's someone who does not make a habit of going in the back of a K2. So that was the Croatians just being lapped. That was a little bit embarrassing. I hope nobody clips that, obviously, for Pedersen's scrapbook, because that was proper amateur stuff there. Not a thought for the man in front of the boat who he's supposed to be following. I can only imagine what that felt like for Moretti. He must have been wondering what the hell was happening.
What is going on? Great thing is that Mads will agree with you.
He'll look at that. He would. I mean, I'm sure
cringe.
anyone would be embarrassed by
cringe.
that. Yesterday, someone was arguing about whether he's the greatest marathon paddler ever. I'm going to set up a new thread. Is he the worst K2 partner? So there he is, Moretti. And paddling on the same side at the same time now.
Easy, Lola. And we circle back into a comment we made earlier. Just how much have they actually done together? And the backstory of Philip Knudsen not being available in that boat and Mads stepping up to it.
Do we not? I thought you were going to tell us that backstory.
No, we need to dig into that.
Right.
Maybe somebody has got a bit more information. Maybe there's a serious injury.
Well, I suggest
Philip,
if
who knows?
Philip Knudsen is in his hotel room that he's not feeling too great.
No, he is, but I don't know whether he's been banished or what the story is. Philip, tell us the story. You can unpack that. You're sitting in front of your PC. Bang us down the story. Interesting, I had a chat to Christy McKenzie, who was unable to make the interview because she was sitting down. She was saying she's been battling mystery illnesses for the last couple of months, and it's just been, and it's...
That's hard work.
For all the docs they've seen, nobody can work out what it is. It's been really badgering her. It got to the point now where she was feeling awful.
It's a change here. Boris didn't come straight up the side of the Portuguese, which either means he thinks the Portuguese aren't going to lead for long and he doesn't want to bother going all the way around when he's got to go up the side of the French in a minute, or he's just getting a little bit fatigued of the accelerations that it takes to get up to that side. Or he likes that half V better and is prioritising himself above the group. Finally.
That doesn't make you popular. Yeah.
I think we've got a Spanish withdrawal happening opposite us in commentary. Obviously that's not on your screen, but
the blue boat.
Yeah. Which was, I think, was Laurens and Plaza.
Let me get the binos on it. Yeah, that's Laurens and Plaza withdrawn. They are very meekly heading back upstream on the far side. So race run for Spain 2.
So during this flurry, we've had the fastest lap of the competition so far, which isn't a surprise. It is the men's K2 after all. And it's a 12-minute, 58-second lap. Everything back to normal. Boris comes up the left of the French.
Let's think ahead here. Lap 6. We're going to complete lap 6. We've got 2 more full laps.
Yeah,
this is the race for the podium.
Oh yeah, yeah.
At what stage does one of them decide, I'm going to stress it and try and make it work to my advantage, or do you back yourself for the end sprint on the short lap?
Depends who you are. If you're Pimenta, you back yourself for the short sprint on the last lap.
I agree.
But you've also seen Boros be able to get an extremely high speed out of a K2 on a finish sprint. Finish sprint is not the same as a start sprint because there's a survival mode to it as well.
The Frenchman?
Also known for their speed. You know, it's tough, isn't it?
The way this is working for them, I fully expect it to be gentlemanly until coming into the final portage.
The French won that finishing sprint against Boros, interestingly, in China just a few years ago, and then ahead of the Argentinians in that case. So yeah,
Boros paddling with
Christian Mate back then.
Oh, so one of the sharp eyes has picked up the fact that Burkett and Lovemore have headed to the bank, or they've lost their tracker. So we need to keep an eye on what is going on here. Not that tidy from the French, but successfully
It says abandoned
completed.
on the track.
That will complete a pretty nightmarish weekend for Andy Burkett if it is the case.
That's a tough weekend to get on the plane and go home from.
Or to go to bed.
Yeah, there it is on screen.
Let's unpack that. We really need to get more information on what is going on there.
They were one of the pre-race favourites.
No doubt.
For sure. As were Laurens and Plaza. You'd have them in as a pre-race favourite. Yeah, last year, pretty sure they were in the medals. No, I'm wrong. Lawrence and Plaza were only 8th last year.
Well, that significantly dilutes the action
It does.
in the...
Lawrence and
the-
Plaza 2nd in Portugal 2 years ago. So previous medalists dropping out.
Apparently the news from the Danish camp is that there's a stomach bug doing the rounds.
Okay.
A couple of them have been
Oh yeah.
athlete down
Nobody needs that, do they?
with a stomach bug, and that's I'm sure the logic of why
Yeah.
Philip wasn't up to 100% race day, and Mads, being who Mads is, said,
I'll
I'm
do
still
it.
feeling strong,
Yeah.
I can do that. Please, can I have the space? And it's hard to say no to that.
So that gap remains pretty constant, about 150 meters. Two groups traveling, but time's running out for group 2. I would suggest time has run out for group 2.
Yep. I think we're going to see this very, very efficient rotation of a 3-boat bunch continuing for the next lap and a half at least. Ooh.
It's certainly been a lesson in coordination of crews, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Great Britain leading their group. I'll give you a few name checks in their group. You've got the other French boat there with Cyril Carré in it. You've got Balint No from Hungary. Strong company to be in for sure.
GV boat number's got the dreaded limp.
It doesn't look good, does it?
Doesn't know.
So 7th place at the moment for Johnson and Collins. All the time they're leading that group. So that group 7th, 8th and 9th will come from there.
This is the front
So
three.
3 groups of 3, isn't it?
Back at the fronts with France at the front. Hungary on their right and Portugal left. France have decided that's their shift over. So they're going to just chill. There'll be a reformation. Portugal go to the front. Slick move to the left by the Hungarians. This like Operation Grand. It's been a very gentlemanly and very efficient collaboration between these 3 K2s. So trying to unpack more information about the apparent withdrawal of Andy Burkett and Hamish Lovemore. I've got to get one of these scooters, Ivan. Just saying.
They do look quite smart, don't they? But be a bit of a faff when the battery runs out and you're down at the bottom turn. So Portugal, I'm going to say, looking the strongest of the 3. They're leading into most of the portages. They seem to have a degree of dominance. Marlo just organising to have a drink, letting the Hungarians through. French will come up the outside and the Portuguese drop to the tail.
Weed removal, the priority right now for Portugal.
Coming into the next portage any minute. Just that's the bottom turn, short bottom turn. So about 30-40 seconds to the portage. And again, there's not even a hint of aggression in this group yet. A lot of talking. Who's going left, who's going right? That's the conversation they're having at the moment.
It's worked so smoothly on the portages between these three.
We're going left, I think. So the French.
France to go left and the other two to go right. Watch.
No.
Oh, France want to pull left.
France want to go right. So Portuguese are going to go out to the side and they're going to go left. Again, no sense of urgency. No, Hungarians have gone left. Everyone else coming right. Oh, Hungarians a bit slack on that one.
No damage done.
So 2 more portages, and I think on the next 2 we will see things begin to hot up just a little.
The Danes now taking a dominant role in the chase. Solid start from the Frenchmen. Their put-ins have been good. Their exits have been slick. And I suspect on almost every one of those portages they've been the first to get away.
They just resume exactly where they left off when they came into the portage. Nobody has any intent at this stage of doing anything than getting round the next lap.
Critically, it's just a stress-free start of the next lap. They can just get into their rhythm and not expend any energy and get stressed about things that might be happening around them. It's just grooved. Argentina in the chase bunch come running past us in commentary here with their lunchbox on the front.
Here we go. Let's do a little bit better. No, we're doing the same again. Back in time already. Much quicker that time. Urban Candy. Giving it the French horn.
You can't have a go at South Africa for a vuvuzela and let the Frenchman off the hook for that thing. That's worse.
There's a big difference between a vuvuzela and a French horn.
No, that thing is like a goat being emasculated. It's not good. Vuvuzela is slightly musical.
Okay, see the reluctance now to go forward. It's not the same bustle that there was. They still know work's got to be done, so eventually Portuguese go to the front.
What you don't want to do is anger the rest of the group. If they sense that you're not pulling your weight, then things might start getting spicy. As long as everybody senses that the load is being shared equally and the net speed is up, this could carry on right through till the last portage.
It's kind of a little flat patch now before the race for real begins.
Again, just an appeal to anybody watching the stream who is on course, and there are lots of them. If you can give us an insight into the Andy Burkett, Hamish Lovemore withdrawal, just drop us a note in the column here, or if you have our contact details, bang them to us, it'd be good. Sweden.
They would, I'm sure, have hoped for more. Lindberg and Nathel. They put a sprinter in the back of a quality marathon paddler, just as Romalo and Pimenta have done, and they would have hoped, I'm sure, to be in the mix close to the end of this race.
What a season for Romalo, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's been going at this for a long, long time now. His early days, not even early, the first few years of his career were dogged with bad luck, always. Always something happened, always he just missed out. Then he's turned that corner now and turned himself into a serial medalist. He's medals pretty much every time he races.
Individually, two very successful paddlers. Collectively, just an ominous K2 crew. And you get the sense that they actually enjoy this together. That's a combination that just works.
I think each one of them fills in the gaps that the other one might not have. Yeah, I can't see Pimenta doing a chase down like Romalo did yesterday. A relentless 2-lap chase down. I just don't think he'd have that attitude towards it. And you can't see Romalo covering 200 meters in 36 seconds at the end of a marathon either. You know, the power is there in the back. The motivation, the determination is in the front, and yeah, it's just a great crew. It's hard to see past them for a win in this one.
Of the three, there's an ominous presence around the Hungarians in this bunch. I must say I really like what I see from them at the moment,
me
and
too.
It might come down to a straight-out arm wrestle between themselves and the Portuguese at the end.
Yeah, but Candy and Urban, they kind of built their career on a turn of speed. Yeah, early days in the short course, they featured really highly because they were so fast, and they've turned that into dangerous speed over the longer distance now. Argentina, obviously, South Africa, and Denmark.
Is that like the one you used earlier, the Hungary?
There was, I had one odd one, didn't I?
It's been a long week.
More than one odd one.
One long week.
It is a lot of talking, isn't it?
I think we're going to make the commentary team T-shirts with "Blag on" written on. Yeah. After that portage, it takes us to lap 7. Should be heading for around about 2 hours for this race, and we're an hour 27 into it.
I think they're going to be sub 2 hours, and that gives me probably time to have a shower as well before I leave.
Scrape the scab off your foot before any airline passengers see it. Just think of them.
I was going to leave it on.
Flies will probably follow you to the airport.
Well, they might do. See, that's a well-drilled K2 as well, isn't it? There's no spare movement in that. That's all just.
And that's 90 minutes in. It's looking, both of them, all three of them are looking alarmingly fresh and strong for 90 minutes of racing. And this pace has been high at the front.
So really just waiting here now for something significant to change, something significant to happen.
We can erase the threat coming from behind. I think that is that is long gone.
Well gone.
Bottom turn. The only turn with 5 boys left in it. Again, the Hungarians so tight on the turn when they need it.
He did a draw stroke at the front just to get the nose round.
It's just elegant. It's efficient. That's what comes from years in the boat and learning in the heat of competition.
What you might find the difference will be when it happens is that instead of the group forming this 3 shape, when the leader goes up, the person on the inside might choose to stay on the inside, and that'll be a sign that things are changing. So forward go the Hungarians, Portuguese duck in the back, no change so far.
186, our tracker
Yeah,
measures the
way
distance
down.
between the 3 leaders and the chasers. Chase is still being led by Hank McGregor and Uli Hart, but all to no avail at this stage. They're paddling for pride, I think. Admittedly, in august company, I think they would like to get one past the Danes. That would be a little psychological victory for them. So it's Boros Erli leading from the French combination. And a very relaxed looking Fernando Pimenta and Jose Ramalho. Completely at home in this environment.
This sort of race has suited Pimenta. There's nothing too busy happening. There's nothing out of control happening. Very much a sort of routine. Right, well, we've had a routine for what, 3 laps now, 4 laps? Just these 3, churning round and round and round.
So we're coming into the portage and there's another full lap. And then that, I suspect from the run into that final portage, it might be every man for themselves.
Yep. French go up. Portuguese come round. Hungarians still happy to drop to the tail. So there's literally
This
no
is the
stress.
chasing bunch with Denmark at the front. Moretti and Pedersen. Rodriguez and Caceres in the Argentinian boat. Hank McGregor and Uli Hart in the green South African boat. We were talking about old paddlers. Hank's 45, going 46. I don't know the exact number. He's right at the sharp end of where people can paddle competitively, and he would love to be in this bunch. He's not, and we can speculate till the cows come home about why that is.
Yeah, age isn't the only factor, is it? With age comes other stuff. Children, jobs,
life,
all the rest of it. And at some stage, your priorities change, don't they? It's very hard when you've got children not to have them as your priority, and I'm sure he has, and that just takes the edge off the other stuff. And
yeah, if you can build a life that involves your paddling priorities, then well and good. It was a wonderful moment to see Hank and his wife Pippa winning gold medal in the Masters mixed doubles racing. That's a big moment in your life, and that's huge.
So France, Hungary and Great Britain currently looking at 7th, 8th and 9th.
Rotate time at the front.
That's the 3rd group. This is the leading group. See how this time the French have stayed to the right of the Portuguese. So things are beginning to change in this group. Sentiment has changed. Speed's dropped considerably. French haven't dropped to the tail. We saw that come in. They're going to come into the portage. I think they're just being pushed to the tail now, just by the Portuguese coming in slightly closer to the edge. But that's the sort of stuff that gives away signs that the language, the body language is changing, the intent is changing. They will all have noticed that.
I think they've all processed the fact that they will all medal. I think the mood is now distilled to, what do I need to do to optimize the color of that medal? And again, this is the nervy time of the race where you kind of know what you've got to deal with. The game that you're playing is now clear. How you would like to come out on top of that game is the plan that's being formulated. You don't really have the opportunity to communicate much with your partner about this is all going on in your head the whole time.
They'll have some degree of communication, and certainly for those backmen, especially backman like Pimenta, he'll get the message at some point that as of now, no one overtakes us.
Rene Larsson's commentary on what he's seeing at the moment.
Come on, Rene, you know better than that.
He wants fights. He says all this is working together, no fighting.
Here we go, portage, the penultimate portage.
And I don't even expect this to be messy either.
No, this is still
This, if
pedestrian.
anything, will be the most managed, controlled portage of the lot. Almost synchronized, the takeout. Running it in formation. There might be some reloading of drinks here.
No,
Not.
just discarding. Shouting across to the crew, though, from Pimenta.
Another abandonment. It's Australia's
We had a lot of abandonments. We're up to about 6 now.
David Kedia and Adrian Han are officially out of the race for Oz.
Pimenta just has something on his hand there, maybe a bit of weed or something on the paddle. Keen to get that off. Here we go, your last big lap.
Back markers in the frame as they come up to the, what is now a 3-turn, and they're very, very shrewdly going super wide to make sure that they don't interfere.
That's going to be the Japanese.
Nobody bothering to come in for juice. Uli Hart, Matt Fenn sitting there waiting. They're getting the cold shoulder.
Argentina, Rodriguez and Caceres. Portuguese getting weed off from everywhere at the moment. Just taking that time.
So this will be a zero risk lap in my expectations.
It'll be a zero risk journey to the bottom turn.
It will. There's absolutely
It
no...
could all kick off on the entrance to the bottom turn if that's where someone decides they're going to dictate what happens at the portage. Seems quite early, but it's an opportunity. So you're looking for a free opportunity sometimes. So it could all kick off just before the bottom turn is our next sort of danger point for these guys.
Given the firepower in this bunch, do you think a lead coming out of the final portage will be enough to win it? With two
Not
350
necessarily.
legs?
If you lead out the final turn, you're going to have to go as slow as you can for that final small lap to save your energy for the actual race in. If you lead out there full on, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a big enough gap, of course.
So some intent being shown.
This is tough for McGregor, very tough.
Ignore the blue boat, that's the Japanese who are being lapped. Shimogawa and Tahari paddling in august company right now and enjoying every moment of that. Nothing wrong with that, lads. Rene Larsen can't wait for real combat to start. Bring on the fighting, he says.
It's going to come soon.
It's
You
not
haven't got
far
long
away,
to wait,
Rene.
Rene. McGregor made it. Stayed in contact with that group. It's a solid effort from the Danes.
Argentina, Rodriguez and Caceres at the front.
If that Danish boat got in time, they would be good.
Not only did you make Mads Pedersen shave off his moustache, but you've been dissing his stroke all day.
He'll watch it, he'll see. He's a K1 racer, and it's hard to put someone like that in the back of a boat and expect them just to follow. He'll be steering in the direction he wants to steer, even if they're not going that way. It's like having a backseat driver in your car pressing the brake because they think you're too close to things. It's no different. So you can tell by the speed we've passed the Japanese that we're not at top speed
No, we're
anymore.
not. I'm with you 100%. You can see the lap time there was slow, to be honest. It was slow being relative, but compared to what they've been doing earlier in this race, it's been slow.
We are moving on now to spot number 11. We need to help Daniel Sveno Madsen Bauer of Nassau. 3.5 kilometers to go. Less than 5 kilometers.
Get a big name paddler to come and paddle with you. Are you allowed to put the pedals in the back seat of the boat if they want it?
No reason why not, is there? It would be. I don't know how you
I practice. I
Judge
don't
it.
know how you do it.
to judge it from the back would be really hard.
Yeah. Hungary still looking very fresh at this stage in the race. Last long lap.
We must be getting close now. Oh, we're about halfway, aren't we, down to the bottom turn? Maybe a little more.
So a good time right now as we start heading into the last bottom turn. For those following us on the stream, let us know who you think is going to take gold in this one. Hungary, Portugal, France. Just drop your comment in there. We'll do a little poll, and then in about 20 minutes time, once they've all crossed the line, we will compare how your predictions went. So just drop us a comment in there, just in the name of the country. Hungary, Portugal, France.
I think my vote's going to go to Portugal. It's hard to see how anyone can overcome the firepower of Pimenta over a short distance. I think they won last year. They're a well-drilled crew. They've got a turn of speed. They've got an understanding. It's hard to see what anyone can do with that.
Do love blind loyalty when a vote comes in for South Africa. Huge skew towards Portugal in the voting at the moment, and they are pouring in, so well done. France getting one, Hungary getting one. Rene Larson says, please Boros, make a your turn.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great if we saw Boros back to Gior form, that classic where Boros and Salty overtook in the last 50 metres ahead of this man, Hank McGregor, and his then partner Jasper Mocker, who I'm sure thought they had it already in the bag. I certainly did as commentary, and I've paid a price for saying that. Over the years, that clip gets replayed. Still nothing happening, even here.
No, it's very measured, very gentlemanly.
Eesh. So it's going to be on the run in to the portage.
I stick by our prediction for reloading this race in the approach to the final portage.
Yep.
And for my 5 cents, I think Hungary can do it.
Okay. It's not a bad shout. But we're all ignoring France at the moment, and that's crazy as well, because they are super fast.
At a stage
And just by the
France
body
almost come
language,
to us.
every one of these boats is back in their finish at the moment. France just tipping into the back there. They just got squeezed. They wanted to stay on the right side. Portuguese weren't having that. Didn't give them enough space to be comfortable and forced them into the back. It's kind of a lull before the storm now.
This
it's
is feeling
really flat.
very cagey at the moment. It's
So their nerves now feel exactly like the nerves they just before a race start. It's like the whole thing up to now has just led to this, and there are some very nervous people in that group now.
I don't know whether I should answer this or I should let you answer it, Ivan. Larson asks, my wife wants to know if Lawless still has his 90s six-pack. Shall I take a photo, Renee, and post it?
The answer is obviously yes, Renee.
You can hear when he's lying through his teeth, but you can hear it.
I think I can, if I poke my fingers in really deep, I can still feel it.
No, those are ribs. You're faking it with your ribs. You're under severe provocation from Larson here.
See how now the Portuguese are trying to stay on the inside there. It's no longer, because they want to lead into the portage. So if the Hungarians lead for too long, it's a long way around the outside for the Portuguese. So they're just going to take their chances and stay on the inside, see if they'll be allowed. Hungarians dictate whether that happens or not, really. They can move to the right and shut them out.
They're not at the consequential end of this race, but notice that the Polish boat 684, who's Rozalski and Swedish, been disqualified for pushing boat 673 into the water at the portage at the end of lap 3. So it's not going to have any material effect on the...
Okay, this is changing.
Here we go.
This is changing.
Game on.
Hungary, I think, have decided they're going to lead all the way to the portage. And anyone who's going to go past them is going to have to do a pretty big effort. Both boats have the capability of challenging them. But for now, Hungary have the body language of somebody who's not going to relinquish this lead. Possibly till the end would be their plan, but definitely to the port. There go the Portuguese. Hungarians.
This is a big move from Portugal.
That, and they faded straight away, going into the back.
In fact, they're happy to. They have no plan of challenging that.
It wasn't worth it. The strength of the Portuguese, ominous there. They came through in a matter of 10 strokes.
This is the chasing bunch with Denmark, Argentina at the front, and South Africa. Back to the front. Give them a sniff of the front, and I think the Portuguese might be quite difficult to displace now. I'm pretty sure both these other boats would have been happier to have Portugal more contained than they are right now, because they're in the position to call all the shots.
Everything depends on their thought process, whether they have decided they're fighting for silver, whether they're still in the hunt for a win. They'll have it. What they're thinking is based on reality. What we're thinking is based on just options that are potentially open to them. We don't know the reality of what those boats feel like at the moment. We must be getting pretty close to the portage now.
And this portage will be decisive. There's no doubt about that. The French have been strong and able to get into the water first at most of these portages. They haven't elected to try and make that stick. They've always gone up tight against.
So Boros is backing himself for...
And he's going left again. I suspect the other two are going to go right. That's exactly what's going to happen. Pimenta Ramalho.
French tried to duck round the back of the Portuguese and failed.
Oh, it's not good for France. Oh, and it's slow for Portugal.
French.
Opportunity for Hungary. They don't take
Portugal. That was French incompetence there. Nearly caused a major upset. The French were trying to duck round the back of the Portuguese boat and just frankly it up and nearly took the Portuguese in.
That whole thing was just a picture of nerves to me. Portugal with the put-in opportunity first down the right.
If they're first in and first away, there is nothing that anyone can do about
France, Hungary are lost.
Portugal.
Well, they're effectively... Portugal get away. Pimenta Romalo.
I don't really see why they need to get away here. They could just be with the others. They've got the speed, they've got the power for a sprint finish.
The chasers are coming in.
Denmark, South Africa. Argentinians are out of this now. The Portugal go round. Yeah, a French touch on the back of that Portuguese boat to turn them inside a buoy now would be pretty hectic.
Portugal,
Just
France,
distant
Hungary
enough.
at the turn. But it's Portugal holding all the cards as they turn the top cans for the very last time. Now it's downriver.
Hungary are spent, they're going backwards.
It looks like Fernando Pimenta, Jose Romalo have got full control over this race. Have they got the gas in the tank to hold on to this for 700 meters on their own?
Most definitely. French are full on already.
Urbain and Candy are not they are making inroads. They're coming up on the left.
Yeah, you've got
They're
to overtake,
gradually
though.
reeling in. They need to be up there by the time they get to that short turn can.
Why Portugal need to go so hard down here. If the French are with them and half a length down, there's no way they're going to overtake.
It's a golden position to be in if you won it by the turn.
You can't win anything, but you can only win things at the finish line.
No, I get that, but you need to be a couple of boat lengths clear with spent boats behind you.
They're caught up now.
The French are going to be on their side as they go into that turn, and the French are going to be on the outside at the turn.
Now the Portuguese just need to go slowly and just maintain a half-length lead. Ooh. That's all they have to do now. It seemed like a big spend to end up where you were always going to end up anyway.
Portugal v France as they come down to the final turn of the senior men's K2. Everybody out of their seats in the grandstand. It's going to come down to a flat-out race to the finish line once they've gone around these 5 boys. Portugal, at this stage, in control. There hasn't been a move yet. Everybody watching each other to make sure that they don't get
if you're French,
caught
maybe
short.
duck round the back.
Portugal upping
yes,
it
they are
slightly.
going to duck round the back. It's a good move. Just frees them up to go when they want. They can't be held into the bank.
Remember their options: hang right and stay out of the current, or go straight for the finish.
So Romalo,
everybody's going deep,
aiming straight for the finish because that keeps the French under control to a certain degree. Hungarians going up the bank because that's the quickest route, but Portuguese don't need the quickest route. They just need the route that beats the French at this stage. And they are looking super confident. Those French do have a massive turn of speed, though.
They're going to need to fire that soon, Ivan. Pace gets up slightly by Pimenta and Romalo. Can France respond?
Just going up now from the Portuguese.
It's 100 meters
French
to go.
At the back. The French just have to hang on. There we go.
There's the turbo from France. There's the response from Portugal. Is it going to keep the French at bay?
Portugal just going away.
Yes, it is.
There's nothing anyone can do with Pimenta.
A magnificent response from Pimenta and Romalo.
French gradually clawing their way back down that wave, but it's too little, too late. Portugal from France, brilliant race.
Wow.
Might not have been what the fans in Denmark wanted to see, but that is a brilliant race. A race well executed by the Portuguese, who played to their own strengths from start to finish and absolutely brilliantly managed. I'm already packing up.
Applause from the backseat of that French boat as the Hungarians come home in third. And I'm surprised, to be honest, but all 3 of these boats to me have earned superhero status. And the crowd has lapped up this arm wrestle between the 3. It has been a bit of a measured cat and mouse game for 5 of the 8 laps at least. but you can see the brotherhood, the respect.
And it's going to be
It's Denmark coming home in fourth. Soren Moretti and Mats Pedersen sitting in the seat marked as Knudsen. They're going to take fourth. Fifth is going to go to Hank McGregor and Ollie Hart. What a race. What a thriller. Smiles all over the face of Hank and Ollie. Argentina come home. Agustin Rodriguez, Juan Caceres. The Argentinians with their much talked about lunchboxes taped to the front of the boat crossed the line. Rodriguez and Caceres. Tough old afternoon for them.
competed in more events, but Portugal, pound for pound for me, have been the standout country this weekend.
Hiroki Shimogawa and Ryota Tahari crossing the line for Japan. Opportunity for them to share this stage with some of the legends of the game, and I'm sure they will be appreciating and soaking up every minute of that.
Got a few forearm problems there with a Japanese looking at his arm. Cyril Carre, he's been one of the world's best at so many distances, and maybe today just a step too far for him in the back of that boat.
Paddling with Baudouin Genies.
They would have hoped for better, I'm sure.
And potent finish
And
at the
then
end from the Hungarians, Noe
just taking
and Kulifai.
the next place from the Matsin hats from Great Britain.
Wow. What an afternoon, what a day, what a week. It's been a great old weekend of racing. The Hungarians powering their way down to the finish line. Heads drop straight afterwards. It's been a tough old session.
Good job from the British crew there.
Johnson and Colling.
Those Hungarians also, Balintno, I'm sure he would rather been up the sharper end of that race. But I think that's testament to how fast those 2 laps, maybe even 2.5 laps, where that group of 3 worked together to just stretch out that lead. It was an awesome performance, and you know, sometimes it's hard to see that as a fan, that you know, things are just the same, but you have to appreciate how hard it is to do what they did, to organise a group for starters to do that and to get a general agreement without speaking in the first place. Then nobody made the discussion, and then to have everyone tow their weight, and yeah, brilliant performance from those 3 lead boats. It is a shame the Hungarians weren't there for the last little flurry, because that would have been, that just added to the excitement. Even if the result stayed the same, it would have been nice to have a 3-boat finish.
It was still a great end to a great race.
You see how the fine margins there are. You know, the Portuguese were so close to falling in at the start of that portage when the French messed up their journey to the outside of their boat. The French know they made a mistake there, and you know, it's fine lines, and that's how close it can be.
Suitable way to bring down the curtain on the racing here in Metkovic. We'll get some interviews for you. We'll have a medal ceremony. For the teams, as you can see in the background, it's already a case of packing up your gear and starting to plan to head home. It's pretty much what Lawler's doing right now, I think.
I'm packed, but I think I can leave here. Well, it's now 4 o'clock. I think it was 4 o'clock was my limit. So I'm going to say goodbye to everyone who's been listening on the live stream. It's been a brilliant weekend. I enjoy this every year. It's an absolute pleasure, even working with Dave. So. And we appreciate everyone's support. So with that, I'm going to sign off, have a quick shower and get to the airport. Thank you, everyone.
Travel safe. And Ivan, on behalf of all of the people that have been watching the stream, it simply wouldn't be the same without you. Thank you for making it tolerable. Good luck with the healing of your foot. I suspect amputation is on its way and I suspect you're not going to get through customs with the flies hovering around that foot. So it's good luck with that. I hope you've got some sort of special permit to travel with that disability. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dave. See you next year, hopefully.
And thanks everybody for chipping in the comments on the live stream. It really is invaluable. Every year we go back and dissect what we've done. We take on board all of your comments. A lot of them we've managed to act on already. And as the weekend has gone on, we've tweaked and adjusted as we have. It's a big team with a lot of players in it, so it's not necessarily all that simple. But we do appreciate your comments. We hope you appreciate us bringing it to you. Big thank you to our production team. As I said earlier, there's 15 cameras that are scattered around the course, plus a drone. Big team working in the production van. Confirmation then of what has happened on the water. Gold medal going the way of Fernando Pimenta and Jose Ramalho. Sprint finish, they got the best of the Frenchmen, Quentin Urban and Jeremy Candy. Adrian Boros and Thomas Erdley were in it right until the final half lap. Fourth place went to the crew that was cobbled together this morning of Mads Pedersen and Soren Moretti when it became obvious that Philip Knudsen was not going to be fit enough to take his place in the boat. The South Africans, Uli Hart and Hank McGregor, making up fifth. Rodriguez and Caceres of Argentina, sixth. Genies and Carr of France in seventh. No and Kulifai of Hungary in eighth. Matt, Johnson and Colling in 9, Joachim Lindberg and Martin Natal of Sweden making up the top 10 at the end of the senior men's K2 race.